What about the issue of the toss? Because this is the T20 World Cup year. India is slated to host the T20 World Cup, and other teams will be eyeing this as well to say that we've got to find a way to negate this. Now, have a look at this. Since January 2019, T20Is in India involving Team India, just 3 matches have been won batting first, Zaheer, and of those 3, India got 200 plus on 2 occasions, and on 1 occasion against Bangladesh, they got 176. Bangladesh should have won that game but collapsed. So essentially, it's been about put a huge total on the board. Otherwise, you're losing the game.
Well, I mean, it's been an early start now, isn't it? Earlier the matches used to start at 8 o'clock. Now they're starting at 7. So that is one way of negating the due factor. Due factor used to be huge in terms of advantage to the toss, and team winning the toss used to field first, and that used to give that undue advantage. But today, I didn't feel that was the case. I think it was the ball was turning, in fact, more in the second innings than in the first innings. So that is something which I was happy to see. The due was not a big factor, but still the result is going in that fashion. So you don't have to think too much about it. These numbers keep changing. I think the team batting first need to figure out a way of getting to that total. Yes, when the conditions are dry and the wicket is too pace at times, it makes it difficult, but you still have to figure out a formula. I mean, if you're looking at talking about World Cup, in a tough game, if you're batting first, you're not going to say, find that easy excuse of saying that, okay, we lost the toss, that's why we lost the game. I think, that effort needs to be made, and it's once you figure that out, things get easier. It's not very simple as it sounds, but I think the chat which Michael was talking about in the early years, that they used to talk about cricket, Test cricket being difficult, and it just becomes a psyche. I think that's something which can be the case in current scenario, where a lot of teams prefer actually bowling first, so that they know in this format how to go about chasing. If you get the other team out cheaply, you can actually pace your innings. In the first innings, you have too much work to do. You have to first assess the condition, figure out what is the par total on this track, and then look to take on the game, and that at times becomes tricky. But it's just about someone figuring it out and starts changing things around.
Michael, there was a time, at least in the 50 over game, when it was the due factor. I mean, you'd bat in the daytime, and then when you'd come to field, the ball would be a cake of soap. So not quite that. I'm going to steal a phrase from Zaheer Khan and tweak it around a little bit. He said undue advantage. He meant it obviously with a different spelling of the word, but I'm going to use it in this sense. It was not due. So it was undue advantage, no due. So what was it? If you had to tell a team batting first, what are you going to tell them in the dressing room?
It's clearly an advantage to bat second, but it is what it is. You can't change it. Suddenly you can't, create a World Cup where you don't have a toss. There's always going to be a toss. So it may be that the T20 World Cup in a few months' time, it does favour the team that bats second. So what you have to do as teams now around the world, you have to work out a way of making sure that you get into the game with the bat in hand. So it might be that you have to go even harder. You have to be more brave. You have to try and get beyond that par score of around 165. So you're going to need 190. So you're going to have to go earlier than possibly India went today. I know they lost wickets, but you've just got to be brave and go for it. And with the ball in hand, if you know it's going to get a little bit harder, again, it's down to teams to work out scenarios, skills, different kind of field sets, when to bowl different bowlers at different times, because it isn't going to change. It isn't suddenly going to move the due, and it's suddenly not going to get better. It's just going to be the way of the tournament. So teams have got to work out a method, a mentality. And I think that they've just got to go harder with the bat. They've got to try and get that. As you mentioned, India did win a game by getting 200. That's what you've got to target. It's hard, it's difficult, and it could be that you go that hard that you end up getting bowled out for 120. You're going to lose anyway. So you might as well go for it and try and get the big scores to put the teams under pressure. And I don't think it's going to change. I don't suddenly think that the change in conditions is going to be different for the World Cup. So teams have to find a way of competing when they bat first.